Hey Virgo, we're cutting straight to it. No long intro, no easing in, because some of you are walking into something without seeing the setup, without recognizing the pattern, without understanding that what looks random is actually calculated. And I'm not here to make you paranoid. I'm here to make you aware. There's a difference. Paranoia is fear without information. Awareness is information without unnecessary fear. So let's get clear about what's actually happening in certain dynamics right now, about what's being orchestrated while you're assuming good faith, about the moves being made that you're not tracking yet. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And unseeing it is what protects you. Okay, so let's go. Plans aren't always sinister. Sometimes a plan is just someone thinking ahead, strategizing, organizing their approach, being intentional about outcome. That's not inherently bad, that's just planning. But when someone's plan involves you and they haven't told you about it, when their desired outcome requires your participation but not your awareness, that's different. That's manipulation territory. Um, and that's what some of you are dealing with right now. Someone has a plan and you're in it, not as a partner, as a piece, as a variable they're managing, as someone whose behavior they're trying to influence toward a specific result. And they're being strategic about it, careful, deliberate, not because they're evil necessarily, because they want something and they've decided how to get it. And that how involves moving you in specific directions without you realizing you're being moved. Let's talk about what that actually looks like. Because plans aren't always obvious, they don't announce themselves. They show up as patterns, as repeated behaviors, as tactics disguised as personality. And if you're not watching for them, you miss them. You think you're in organic relationship, organic interaction, organic development, when actually you're in choreography and you're the only one who doesn't know the dance. Let's break down specific plans you need to watch for. Plan one, the slow reconciliation. Someone wants you back, not because they've changed, because they miss what you provided. Could be emotional support, could be financial stability, could be social status, could be physical intimacy, could be ego validation, could be practical benefits. Whatever it is, they want access again. But they know if they come back direct, you'll say no. If they say, I want you back, you'll have defenses up. You'll question. You'll require proof of change. So that's not the plan. The plan is softer, slower, less detectable. The plan is to re enter your life gradually. So gradually you don't notice the infiltration. And it starts with a casual message. Hey, hope you're doing well. Saw something that reminded me of you. Random question. Nothing heavy, nothing romantic, nothing that triggers alarm. Just contact, innocent contact, testing if you'll respond. And if you do, that's phase one complete. You're re engaged. Then comes phase two, increased frequency, more messages, more interactions, more reasons to reach out. Still casual, still friendly, but more consistent. They're creating pattern, creating familiarity, creating comfort. They're reminding you of the good parts, of what you liked about them, They're being the version of themselves you fell for originally. Charming, attentive, fun, easy. Not the version you left, not the version that hurt you, not the version that created deal breakers. That version's hidden, managed, suppressed temporarily, because the plan is to get back in first, to regain access. And they can't do that if they show you the real them too soon. So they're performing carefully, strategically, and and if you're not watching for it, it works. Phase 3, emotional intimacy. Once you're talking regularly, they start going deeper. They share vulnerabilities, they ask about your life, they create connection, they remind you what it felt like when things were good. They create nostalgia, they create remember when moments, they create longing for what was, knowing that longing will override memory of why it ended. And somewhere in this phase, they start testing physical boundaries. Can we meet for coffee? Can I see you? I miss your face. Still framed as friendship, still innocent sounding, but it's not friendship, it's strategy. They're creating opportunities for chemistry to resurface, for old patterns to re engage, for muscle memory to override logic. And if you meet them, if you let them back into physical space, phase 4 activates rekindling. They touch you casually, they look at you intensely, they remind you of physical connection, they create moments that feel charged, that feel inevitable. And if you kiss them, if you sleep with them, if you let them back in physically, and phase 5, re-establishment. Suddenly you're back together, or back in situationship, or back in whatever this is, and it happened so gradually you can't even point to when it shifted. You went from we're just talking to we're back together without conscious decision. That's the plan. That's how it works. Slow enough that your defenses don't trigger, gradual enough that each step seems reasonable, until you're back where you started, back in the dynamic that didn't work before. And here's the thing, once they have you back, once access is restored, the performance drops, the effort decreases, old patterns reemerge, because they never actually changed. They just hid long enough to get back in, and now they're comfortable again. And comfort means authenticity. And their authenticity is the version you left, the version they convinced you was gone. It wasn't gone, it was just waiting, and now it's back. That's the plan. That's what you need to watch for. If someone you ended things with is suddenly being really friendly, really consistent, really attentive, ask yourself why now. Ask yourself what they want. Ask yourself if you're being managed. Not everyone coming back is running game, but some are. And you need to know the difference before you're back in something you worked hard to get out of. M um, Plan 2, the reputation destruction. Someone wants to damage you socially, wants to turn people against you. Why? Could be revenge, could be competition, could be projection, could be that they need to be the victim and that requires you to be the villain. Could be that they're building a case for why they left you so they don't look like the bad guy. Whatever the motivation, the goal is the same. Make you look bad, make themselves look justified. And they can't do that through direct attack. That's too obvious. That makes them look petty. So the plan is subtler, more insidious, more difficult to defend against. They start talking casually to mutual friends, to people in your circle, not aggressive, not obvious, just concerned. I'm worried about them. Have you noticed they've been acting differently? Planting seeds, creating questions, generating concern where none existed. And they're careful. They don't make direct accusations. They imply, they suggest, they wonder out loud. I don't know, maybe I'm reading into it, but I could be wrong. But it seemed like, I don't want to speak out of turn, but all of this creates deniability for them and doubt about you. Then they escalate. They start sharing examples, carefully curated examples, taken out of context, framed specifically. They describe things you did or said in the worst possible light. They interpret your actions through the most uncharitable lens. They create a narrative where everything you do is evidence of character flaw. And because they're not lying exactly, just spinning, it's hard to refute. You did do those things. You did say those things. But the context was different, the intention was different, the full story is different. But they're not telling the full story, they're telling their story. And their story makes you the problem. And people believe it. Because why would they lie? Because it's their friend talking. Because they seem genuinely concerned. Because humans are wired to believe the first version they hear. And if the first version they hear is this person is problematic, that becomes their baseline. And everything you do gets filtered through that baseline. That's the plan. Control the narrative, shape perception, isolate you. And by the time you realize it's happening, damage is done. People have formed opinions, taken sides, decided you're the issue, and you can't defend yourself without looking defensive. Can't explain without looking like you're making excuses. Can't tell your side without people thinking you're just trying to make yourself look better. You're in a no-win situation, which was the plan all along. So what do you watch for? Sudden changes in how people treat you, people becoming distant without explanation, mutual friends asking weird questions. Are you doing okay when you're fine? People mentioning things you supposedly said or did that are distorted versions of reality. Getting excluded from things you'd normally be included in. Sensing that conversations stop when you enter a room. That's the plan in action. That's information warfare happening around you. And your defense isn't trying to control what people think. Your defense is consistent character. Let your actions speak. People who know you will see through the bullshit. People who don't won't. And you can't convince people who don't want to be convinced. So you just keep being you, keep showing up with integrity, and let the trash take itself out. People who believe rumors without asking you aren't your people anyway. Plan 3. The dependency creation. Someone wants you reliant on them, wants you needing them, because need creates control. Need creates leverage. If you need them, you can't easily leave, can't easily set boundaries, can't easily say no. So the plan is to create situations where you become dependent. Could be financial dependency, could be emotional, could be practical, could be social. It starts with helpful. They offer to help you with things, solve problems for you, take care of things. And it feels good, feels supportive, feels like love or friendship or care. But there's a pattern underneath you're not tracking yet. They're making themselves necessary, positioning themselves as essential, creating situations where you can't function without them. Financial version, they start paying for things. Don't worry, I got it. They encourage you to quit your job. You don't need to work, I'll take care of you. They discourage you from financial independence. Why stress about that? Let me handle it. And slowly, gradually, you stop earning your own money. You stop having your own accounts. You stop having financial autonomy. Um, and once you're financially dependent, you're trapped. You can't leave even if you want to. Because where would you go? How would you survive? You've lost your financial foundation. And they created that deliberately. Not because they love you so much, they want to take care of you. Because they want control, and money is control. That's the plan. Make you financially reliant so you can't escape. Emotional version. They become your only support system. They slowly isolate you from friends, from family, from other relationships, not obviously, not with ultimatums. Subtly, your friends don't really get you like I do. Your family doesn't appreciate you the way I appreciate you. Why do you need them when you have me? And they create drama with your other relationships. They pick fights, they create jealousy, they make it uncomfortable for you to maintain other connections until gradually it's just easier to only have them, until they're your only person, your only confidant, your only support. And once you're emotionally isolated, once they're your only source of connection, you're trapped because leaving them means being alone. And you're terrified of being alone because you've forgotten how to be your own person. You've forgotten how to self soothe, how to self validate, how to exist independently. They've created that dependency deliberately, not because you're so special they can't share you, because isolated people are easier to control. And that's the plan. Cut you off from everyone else so you have no choice but them. Practical version, they make themselves indispensable to your daily life. They're the one who drives you everywhere, handles all the logistics, manages everything, and you let them because it's helpful, because it makes life easier. But it also makes you dependent, makes you unable to function without them. You don't know how to do things anymore because they do everything. And if you try to do things yourself, they undermine it. You're not doing it right. Here, let me. Why are you struggling with that? I can handle it. They create learned helplessness. Convince you that you can't manage without them. And once you believe that, once you've internalized that you're incompetent without them, you stay, even when unhappy, even when mistreated, because you think you can't survive alone. That's the plan. Create dependency in every area so leaving becomes impossible. So, what do you watch for? Anyone who discourages your independence, who wants to do everything for you, who gets upset when you handle things yourself, who needs to be needed, who isolates you from other support systems, who makes themselves your only option. That's not love, that's strategy. And plan 4, the triangulation. Someone wants to keep you competing for their attention. wants to keep you anxious, wants to keep you proving yourself, because anxiety creates effort, insecurity creates compliance. If you're secure, you might leave, might set boundaries, might demand better treatment. But if you're insecure, if you're worried about losing them to someone else, you'll tolerate more, you'll accept less, you'll compete harder. So the plan is to create a triangle: you, them, and a third person. Real or imagined, doesn't matter. The triangle is the point. They talk about their ex a lot, how great they were, how close they still are. They mention someone at work who's really attractive, really fun, really interesting. They keep someone from their past lingering, just present enough to create threat. And they do it casually, like they're just sharing their life, but it's calculated. They're watching your reaction. They're seeing if you get jealous, if you get insecure, if you try harder. And if you do, that's confirmation. The plan is working. You're now competing, now trying to be better than the third person, now working for their attention instead of expecting it as baseline. And once you're in competition mode, they have leverage. They can withdraw attention and watch you scramble. They can compare you to the other person and watch you try to measure up. They can keep you constantly anxious about where you stand. And anxious people are manageable people, controllable people. That's the plan. Keep you off balance so you never feel secure enough to demand respect. What do you watch for? Someone who constantly brings up other options, other people who want them, someone who won't clearly define your relationship because ambiguity serves them, someone who seems to enjoy making you jealous, who creates situations designed to trigger insecurity, someone who compares you to others, who talks about exes in ways that make you feel like you're not enough. That's not accidental. That's triangulation. That's strategy. And your response isn't to compete harder. Your response is to remove yourself from the competition, because anyone worth being with doesn't make you compete, doesn't need you anxious to keep you engaged, doesn't use other people as threats to control your behavior. That's not love, that's manipulation. And plan 5. The future faking. Someone wants to keep you invested without actually committing, wants the benefits of relationship without the responsibility, wants your loyalty, your effort, your patience, your everything, while giving you nothing concrete in return. Just promises, just potential, just someday. That's future faking. And it's a plan. They talk about the future constantly, in detail, with conviction, when we move in together, when we get married, when we have kids, when my situation changes, when I finish this, when things settle down. All these future scenarios, all these plans, all these promises. And it feels good, feels like commitment, feels like they're serious about you. But here's the thing: the future never comes. There's always a reason it's not the right time yet. Always another obstacle, another delay, another just wait a little longer. And you wait because you believe them, because they're so specific about the future. Because why would they talk about it if they didn't mean it? And because talking about it keeps you hooked without them having to actually do it. That's the plan. Use future promises to control present behavior. Keep you invested in potential while never delivering actual. Keep you waiting for someday while today remains exactly the same. And the someday they promise, it's never coming. It was never meant to come. It's just the carrot keeping you running on the hamster wheel. What do you watch for? Someone whose words about the future are beautiful, but whose actions in the present are stagnant. Someone who's been promising change for months or years with no actual movement. Someone who gets defensive when you ask about timeline, about concrete steps, about actual commitment. Someone who's all talk and no action, all promise and no delivery. That's future faking. And it's designed to keep you hanging on while they enjoy benefits without obligation. Your response? Stop listening to words, watch behavior. Stop accepting promises, require action. Stop waiting for someday, evaluate today. If today doesn't look like what you want, and it's looked like this for a while, that's your answer. That's what's real. The future they talk about is fiction, the present they're living is fact. And believe the fact, not the fiction. Look, not everyone has a plan. Not everyone is manipulating. Some people are just living, just responding, just figuring it out as they go. But some people are strategic. Some people know exactly what they're doing. And you need to be able to tell the difference. So watch for patterns, watch for tactics, watch for consistency between words and actions. Watch for whether someone's behavior serves their stated intentions or serves control. Watch for whether you feel empowered or diminished in their presence. Watch for whether the relationship is mutual or whether you're being managed. That's how you spot a plan. That's how you protect yourself. And if you realize you're in one of these situations, if you recognize the plan, don't second guess yourself. Don't make excuses for them. Don't rationalize their behavior or blame yourself for being suspicious. Trust what you're seeing. Trust your discomfort. Trust your instincts. And you're not paranoid. You're aware. And awareness is what protects you from being played. Take what lands here, use what serves, and move through your relationships with eyes open, not closed and hoping for the best, not cynical and trusting no one, just aware, just watching, just evaluating. That's not cynicism, that's wisdom. And wisdom keeps you safe while still allowing connection. You can be open and discerning simultaneously. You can give people chances while still protecting yourself. You just can't be naive, can't ignore red flags, can't unsee what you've seen. So see clearly, respond accordingly, and trust yourself to know when something's off. You always know, even when you don't want to admit it. Listen to that knowing. It's trying to protect you. Let it